Alright guys, welcome to your 11th video, and in this video we're going to be working on some more styling, but before we get to that, I have another predicament that I'm in. I know I already asked you guys some advice about my sister, and I got kind of mixed reviews, but now I have a bigger problem, and that's this. I have to get my girlfriend's mother a birthday present because she got me a birthday present. Now I feel obligated, I have to get her one, and the only thing I know that she wants is a Google hoodie because I was wearing my Google hoodie at her house a couple days ago, and then she was like, "Oh, I'd like one of those." So what else am I gonna get her? And here's the situation. I don't know what size she is, but I'm 90% sure that she would take a medium. However, if I buy her a medium and it turns out that she wears a small, then I'm going to be really kind of embarrassed because it would imply that, I thought she was larger than she is. So, should I just go with my gut and get her a medium, or should I play it safe and as a compliment get her a small, even though then it would be kind of a pain to return it because you got to get them online. So let me know. I'm torn apart. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to styling the footer. So the first thing I want to do is what we're going to be doing actually is we're going to be putting the footer menu inside the footer tag. So pretty much the entire thing, the entire toolbar right here is going to be a footer menu, and each of these buttons, account, profile, two columns, programs, is an item in that menu. So it'll make sense in a second. Footer menu, just think of this as the entire toolbar. Margin, of course, I always do that. Margin 0 pixels. Padding 0 pixels. Now as you can see with individual buttons, the text isn't butted up against the side, and what we're going to do is we just want to set the overall style for the footer, and then we can style the buttons how we want, put the text exactly where we want it. And width auto. So pretty much this is, just to reset everything. The footer has no padding or margin, and it spans across the entire bottom of the screen. Now like I said, this footer is basically a list, and these buttons are list items. So let's go ahead and style those right now. So footer menu, just gonna copy this. Footer menu. Now when you have a list item, which is essentially the button. So the first thing we want to do is set list style. Wow, I'm losing my mind here. List style equal to none, because typically whenever you make an unordered list, they have those little bullets or hyphens or whatever. Well, these are the buttons, so list style equals none. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to float these to the left. So whenever you add a button, it's going to float to the left. Add another one, it floats to the left. So whenever you're writing this in your HTML file, make sure you add them in the proper order. So account's going to go to the very left, then butting up against that is your next one, and you'll see later on. So float to the left, and give me some more room to work with. Float to the left. Now for the font size, 12 pixels, and if you just want it as the same as your typical website, then you don't need to overwrite it. But for anyone developing this footer, it's 12 pixels. Now the padding, and this basically is the padding of the text. If you didn't have any, then the text would be in the top left corner of the button. And you see how the text is kind of floating in the middle of the button? How do we do that? Well, we need to give it 12 pixels. 14 pixels, 14 pixels, 14 pixels. Now what this means is 12 pixels for the top, and the right, bottom, and left hand side is 14 pixels. So this actually depends on the height of your footer, but for mine, this looks pretty cool. Now, if you guys noticed, the buttons kind of stand out. Okay, who's sexting me right now? Okay, that's nice. The buttons kind of stand out from the regular footer. So this, where my mouse is right here, is the footer, a buttonless footer, and I don't know if you guys can tell the difference on YouTube, but the buttons are slightly darker, and they also have a right hand border, which is a little thin black line pretty much that separates each button. So how do we achieve this effect? And guys, you definitely want to do this, or else it's going to look that you just have text on a bottom, toolbar. We actually want buttons. So how do we style these to have a cool glass looking effect? Well, the first thing we need to do is set the border right, and this just makes that 1 pixel solid RGBA 000, which is black. Flim 0.4. Now I want to repeat this one more time. Wow, one pez. Well, actually, I'm gonna type the next thing, then do this. All right. So the border right is just a thin, pretty much black border that is on the right hand side of every button. And as you can see on this programs one, that's what separates this programs button, how you know when this stops and the rest of the footer begins. Now for the background, what you want to do is you want to set this at RGBA black, which is 0.1. Now remember, whenever you have something with a semi-transparent background and you lay it on top of something that's already semi-transparent, they don't cancel each other out. They actually stack on each other. So if this background was 40% and then you laid a button that had 10% opacity on it, it wouldn't be 10% opacity showing through here. It would be 10%. Think of a transparency, if you guys know what they are. Think about a piece of paper laying on top of another piece of paper. There you go, boom roasted, or wax paper, something like that. So the background of this button isn't 10%. It's 10% opacity in addition to whatever it was behind it. So that is how you get buttons that are slightly darker, because it's like a transparent piece of paper laying on top of another transparent. And then, of course, all of this is pretty much just, basic housekeeping styling. So in the next tutorial, what I want to show you guys how to do is check this out. You see how the buttons are already slightly darker than the background? Well, I want them to get even darker when you hover over them. So look at the button, quit looking at that pop-up menu. You looked at the pop-up menu, didn't you? Don't look at the pop-up menu, look at the button only. You see how the button's getting darker whenever you hover over it? Well, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that, as well as some other sweet effects in the next video. So don't forget to tell me what I should do about my girlfriend's mom. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.